All right. All right. Welcome everyone to the Builders Call. This call takes place the first and third Tuesdays of every month, 9 a.m. We've been doing it for several years. We'll keep doing it because we are committed to helping you grow and build beautiful organizations here within EXP. And so we're going to jump right in today. These calls are recorded. You'll always find the recordings on empirebuilders.pro website under the resources tab for all of the calls we do. You can go back and catch them if you'd like to catch those replays. But today we're going to jump right on in with somebody who I love and adore. He is the man that is responsible for the life-changing decision that Rick and I made to come to EXP the beginning of 2017. And so I will tell you this, he has a lot of passion. He's a man with vision. He's somebody who absolutely serves from the heart. He cares deeply about people and about people succeeding. And he and his wife, Kathy, have been really great friends and support over the last year and a half, and they walk the talk. So Brent practices only that. He preaches what he practices, and he is a man full of love, committed to your success, committed to my success, and willing to be in the trenches, even when the trenches get messy. So I am super excited to have him on the call today. We're going to do this interview style, and it's going to be fast because we've got a precious 28 minutes left now together. So Brent, for those of you, for those on the call that may be meeting you for the first time, what year did you get into real estate and why?
1996, I went bankrupt at 29. A buddy of mine goes, well, you've hit rock bottom. You might as well get your real estate license. And I think you'd be great. You're outgoing. You love people. I think you do fantastic. And I said, well, how much money can you make at that? I'd never even thought of it. He goes, well, if you sell a house, it's typically $100,000 here in California. They're expensive. And of course, you get a 3% commission. So that's $3,000. I go, so I get three. No. The broker gets half. You get $1,500 every time you sell a house. I go, $1,500. That's awesome. I said, great. I go, you think I could sell a house? Yeah, I think you could sell at least one a month. I go, so I can make an extra $1,500 a month. He's like, yep. I go, baby, I'm in. Sign me up. And I got in to make $1,500 a month for groceries and gas and insurance. And that's why I got in real estate. So quick answer. There you go.
I love it. So how many years were you in real estate before you pivoted into leadership? And we'll call leadership the role that you had as a team leader, attracting top talent.
I would say 4 years. I think the big key here, guys, is first you succeed at real estate. You have some street credibility. You want to write that down. I need street credibility. And that means you become a total maniac with position A, job A. Who could, in the chat, who could tell me what job A is? Real quick in the chat. I'm opening my chat. Tell me what job A, what the number one thing you have to do in real estate is before you do anything else. You must do this. Let me see. Sell houses. I love it. Good, Scott Marlowe. What else? Come on, guess a little. There's no wrong answer. Become a marketing whiz, lead development. Very good, Stacy. Anybody else? Anybody else? CRM, created SOI. Yep. Know the market, learn the market. Good, Will Penny. Excellent. Know the school districts, the HOAs, the good, what's happening in the market, prices going up, down. Anybody else? So here it is. Those are all great answers, and you're all nibbling around the edges. I think Stacy got the closest. Number one, you must master lead generation. The reason you suffer in real estate is because you never did that. I've met agents. I talked to a woman last night, 39 years in the business, Buffalo, New York. She sells 3-4 homes a month, and she's had a decent life in real estate for sure. And she's still suffering 39 years later. Right now, she has nothing in escrow. She never mastered lead generation. And when you master lead generation, here's what it's like. People call you every day to list their home. That ought to tick you off. And you apply those same concept, that same deep burning desire to master lead generation for listings, or whether it's buyers. I did with open houses, but you apply that to agent attraction. I know this is an agent attraction call for building organizations, but it's the same concept. That's deep, like, I'm going to figure this out or kill somebody. Of course, you're not going to kill anybody, but it's like, what's wrong with you? You see somebody doing so good. You're like, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. You're just in your head. And if you're in your head, you're dead. That's what Tony Robbins says. Get out of your head, open la boca, start talking, start saying foolish, stupid things, look like a fool, face rejection. But guess what? Pretty soon you start saying it better and a little better and a little better. Pretty soon you're on fire. They say this, you say that. They zig, you zag. They bob, you weave. And it's a dance, and you're kicking butt and taking names. And you're like, well, everybody's heard of EXP. And your point is, 1 out of every 25 agents is an EXP agent. My gosh, there's so much opportunity. We'll get into that later. I'm going to give it back to you, but it happened after I got to 48 sales a year. And then I started building a team and I started attracting agents. And that's when I got into leadership. For me, is when I succeeded in real estate.
Love that. So let's talk about that transition now. So we've got the theme of you got to be great at lead generation. Business travels at the speed of trust. People that know, like, and trust you will do business with you, except for if they don't know you or have any experience of you because you never pick up the phone and call them or interact with them in social events or see them in real life. So now, at your pinnacle lead generation for attracting agent talent in your role as a team leader, I know you hold some kind of record for how many agents that you recruited in 1 year. What was that number? Remind me.
Well, I was the first agent to enroll 40 agents in EXP and open all 7 levels. I was the first agent in the history of EXP to open all 7 levels. That's my record. Now, since then, it's like Roger Bannister. Everyone's done it. But yeah, I did 25 agents in 5 months. Then my first year, I'd recruited 48 agents. I created momentum. It created the mojo.
I love that. So before you did it with EXP, though, you did it with KW.
Oh, okay. You were going back
Yes.
there.
What was that year? Because I know you had a crazy year there.
Well, I think my first year I recruited 3 agents to my sales team, and that went well. And then I created, I think, 5 the next year. Then the next year I recruited 10. But I had something that, like, I was successful at open houses, and I went from 48 sales a year to 118 to 170 to 220 to 280 to 330 to 427 because we had momentum. Everything's done with momentum. Your marriage, your relationship, your weight loss, getting in shape, building a business. Everything requires momentum, or it's slow and painful. And slow and painful sucks. So I think all in all, my team got up to 45 active buyers agents at Remax back in 2005. Big teams had 8 or 10. I was an anomaly, people flying from all over. And I did it with love. Write that down. If I have a superpower, it's this, it's love. Man, I did not chew out my agents. I empathized with them when they made mistakes. And trust me, they made mistakes. And I said, let me split that with you. I'll pay half. It was totally their mistake. And some of my splits was $3,000 mistakes, 5,000. I'm paying 2,500 for a really dumb thing they did. But my agents never left me. Other team leaders browbeat and beat up their agents and like, you're going to pay for that. I hope you learned a lesson. I've seen it. And they wonder why they leave them. And I had like no retention issues. We were rocking, of course the market was good. And when the market crashed, every one of those agents went bankrupt, including me. I tried to go bankrupt in 09. The market crashed. And I had all these homes I owned and everything, and I sold them all for a profit. I didn't lose any to foreclosure, but that was a problem in itself. If you don't 1031, you have capital gains, and this massive tax problem, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. It sucked. But so yeah, but as far as attracting agents, you get what you radiate. If people are smiling at you, it's because you're smiling at them. If your people are loving you, it's because you're loving them. If people are serving it in your corner, you're serving it in their corner. You got a friend at 3 o'clock in the morning you can call, you're that friend they can call. So I don't know if I'm hitting the question or quite the way you want, but there you go. That was the Remax. That's kind of what I did at Remax. Leadership was more of a Keller Williams thing when I got into leadership.
So you pivot from Remax then to Keller Williams, and why did you make that change? Because what I want people to understand is the progression in changing the way that you thought, and as you change the way that you thought, different doors of opportunity open to you. Because let's be honest, for those 24 out of every 25 agents that are not yet with EXP, they think ways that are keeping them from being here. And so our number one job, from my perspective, aside from loving people, is we influence the way that people think and the way that people look at business and life. And that is, that's huge, right? So you thought one way as a Remax agent and we're taking advantage of every opportunity there. However, then your thinking changed because you saw opportunity and then you pivoted into a KW model, which was a different way of thinking. And tell us about that, from a leadership perspective, why you went there, why you did that, and then we'll get to what happened after.
Okay, you got it. So Remax is a big maverick company, as most of you know. There wasn't this culture of education and higher learning. They're like, you go to Brian Buffini, Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, Craig, go out and get it, come back, which I liked. I would go out and do all that. I was fine with it. But when I started poking around the edges of Keller Williams, and this is a brilliant recruiting tactic. That tactic sounds terrible. Let's call it a strategy. Okay, remember, like, brilliant recruiting strategy, right? It was brilliant. I was talking to Maureen. She was a regional director for Keller Williams. And so we're going through the process, and it was taking years. It took her 2 years to recruit me from Remax because I liked it. I liked Remax to Keller Williams. I didn't see a difference. To me, they were just side by side. They were the same, the Four Seasons and the Ritz-Carlton, very similar, I didn't see a big difference. So she wasn't getting far with me, and I'm following, but I'm like, I'm happy at Remax. I'm sure Keller Williams is great. I didn't doubt her that it was great, but I don't want to move. I'm happy. My friends are at Remax. So she did something that was brilliant, and I haven't taught this enough. And she said this, Casey, will you make a commitment to me? Brent, will you make a commitment to me to stay in curiosity about the model? She didn't say Keller Williams. She made it neutral, the model. So when you're talking to people, I did it yesterday with the woman from Buffalo, New York, and her daughter. Hey, will you guys make a commitment to me to stay in curiosity about the model? I want you just to take the idea of you leaving, you leaving your independent brokerage. It's a book. Let's put it on the shelf. Put it on the shelf. You're not doing anything. You're not leaving because people get all worked up. They get all stressed. I go, you're not leaving your brokerage. You're not leaving Compass or Sotheby's or Remax or Keller Williams. Right now, so that's not happening. Takes all the pressure off. Really important you guys get this. She says, but what you are going to do is just learn about a new model. And hey, if someday, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, or never, great, but at least you understand the model because it is the most powerful model out there right now. I know right now you don't quite see it, but I'd like to invite you to some events. Would you make that commitment? I'm like, yeah, sure. That now opened the door for me to go to Mega Camp all the way out in Austin, Texas, for me to go to San Francisco, which is 2.5 hours from where I live, and attend events to do or die. You guys can hardly get people to go 5 or 10 minutes across town. They got me to fly thousands of miles and drive 2.5 miles to check them out because I had made a commitment to stay in curiosity about the model. And then sometimes they'll say, well, but what if they see me? Or I go, if they see you, you get a pay raise. You go from your 80-20 to a 90-10. If they see you, they give you a free office for a year. If they see you, they're going to throw the kitchen table at you. You want them to see you at another brokerage event. They're like, oh my God, no, they'll fire me. They'll take my stuff. The last thing they want to do is fire you. And I was talking to one guy, and I'll give it back to you, Casey, but they offered him 2 years at 100% and a free office for 2 years. So how much was Remax making on this guy? And he says, well, they're not making anything. No, they're actually losing money because the office cost them money. They're giving it to you for free for 2 years. So why would they lose money for 2 years to retain you, Jose? And he goes, I don't know. I go, because you leave, people love you, they follow you. So yeah, if you leave, okay, big deal. They lose 30, 40, 50, 60,000 a year they were making on you. But when 10 people follow you, and let's say it's only 30,000 for those guys, 10 times 30 is 300,000. So it's called damage control. It's called, loss mitigation, to use a legal terminology, loss mitigation. But anyway, so Keller Williams, when I started to answer your question, Casey, I'll give it back to you. When I started attending the EXP events, but in this case, it was Keller Williams. I saw, wow, they have business planning clinics. They have listing mastery classes, buyer workshops. They had social media marketing and all these things. I'm like, wow, this is really great. Remax doesn't do any of this. And of course, when my gate opened, when the market got tough, I went, I think I'm going to try something new. And Remax said it would destroy me. And I went from like to love. I liked Remax. I loved Keller Williams. I stayed almost 10 years at both companies, actually 12 years at Remax. But back to you. But so I really decided I want to step into that leadership, really developing myself even more. I mean, I naturally resonate that way. And so it was a fit for me. So get people to go to EXP events. Tell them, get them to commit to you. They go there. They won't blow you off for listing or showing property. Write this down. Talk to your prospects, work on your business, not just in it. Everybody's, head down, butt up in the trenches, working in their business. Right now, my hat's off to all of you. There are 55 of you. You're working on your business, that 30,000-foot level, not just in your business. And it's not that today's meeting is going to change your life. It's today's meeting. It's next week's meeting. It's a week after that. I went to an event in Napa with Bethel Church. It's a church thing. They invited my wife and I there. We met a couple there that changed our life. What if we had not gone? So it's a piece here, a piece there, this piece, and it's the fabric of your life. It's like a quilt, a patchwork. And so I keep going. I stay hungry. Hunger will drive you and give you what you need. And then read the books, listen to the podcast, stop watching brainless series, Bridgerton or The Walking Dead. Those things take from you. Input good stuff in you. Double dip when you're at the gym. I was there an hour this morning watching all kinds of videos and listening on my iPods. I'm exercising and I'm learning. I'm exercising, I'm learning. And I don't know if you could tell, but I am juiced this morning. And so that helps your attitude. And then people are attracted to you. It's like sucks them into you like a vortex of love, baby. My superpower is love. I smile, everybody. Although a guy did honk at me this morning unfairly, and I went, oh, I wasn't feeling a lot of love for him, but I caught myself and I responded well. Back to you, Casey.
I love that. So I want to go back to something that you said, which was the brilliant thing that Maureen did when she was recruiting you to Keller Williams from Remax, and that was she took leaving off the table. So for all of you who hear people say, "Oh, I love my brokerage. I don't want to leave my
Oh,
broker. I'm not looking to leave." I want you to think about the psychology. Leave equals loss, even if people aren't thinking about it. When you leave something behind, and that indicates loss. And unless there is some great pain and that person's at what I call 12 o'clock, which is ready to make a change right now today, the thought of leaving anything is going to create resistance because it triggers loss. And that is like a deep psychological layer for people that you're not thinking about. So what you said was so brilliant is stay as long as you want. However, will you commit to being in curiosity, for being a student and learning about the model, learning about what's possible, continuing to grow and evolve as an agent. And I think that anybody that really wants to succeed in business and succeed in life is not going to say, no, I'm committed to staying closed. Nobody's going to say no to being in curiosity, right? And learning and growing, because that's what we're here to do, is to get better, right? So that one thing then removed all of the resistance that you had energetically to now create an open space for new things to come in. And so I think so often, like, it's easy to get in this mindset of, yeah, but my goal is to get somebody to move or to change or to come to EXP. And that's what I'm out there doing. What do I say to get them to do that? And my experience is you're not going to say anything to get them to do that. They're going to do that on their own when they decide, based on experiences they've had and things that they've learned, and they decide that's what they want to do for themselves, nothing that you have made them do. And so when we realize like that the power of the people sits with the people, and we get what our role actually is, which is to influence people, now we're in a different conversation, which is this leadership conversation of how do I take who I am as a person and the traits and characteristics that I have that are unique to me to relate and be credible and care about people, and use that to influence the way that people think, and ultimately influence the way that people behave. And then they're going to make their own decisions when all of those things come together, right? I always say, like, man, if there was a better place to be than EXP, we would be there, right? That's clear to me because of what I know and because of what I experienced. Somebody that's not here, it's not clear to. That's not clear to them. They're not in that place. So Brent, you go from, and I know where I want to make sure that we save like the last 7 minutes. So we've got 3 minutes to cover this next part. You go into leadership at Keller Williams, ultimately becoming a team leader, which for those of you that don't know what a team leader is at Keller Williams, it's somebody that is responsible for attracting talent to the company and growing the company by attracting agents. So tell us about, that experience. I know you had an incredibly huge year, the year that you nailed it there. And you've talked about the principles of what you were doing, that lead generation being key, loving and caring about people. So you're at KW, you have a bang up year, and you recruit how many agents to the office that you were in, the market center?
I recruited 177 agents to my office in 1 year. And the way I did it was getting people to events. Eric Dow's on here. She knows the key. And so the other team leaders in Sacramento, and she knows them if I rattled off the names, and there's only one left still there, and he owns the office, but everyone else has moved on. But they would show up with 2, 3, 4, 5 guests. I'd show up with 20 or 30 guests. I just outworked them. They would talk to 20 or 30 people. I'd talk to 60 or 70 people. Success is a math problem. Yeah. You suffer because you're not talking to enough people. And then you get the Midas touch when you have one listing and you go, you got to get it there. One buyer, they sense you're desperate for them to buy a house or to sign that listing. You got one or two or three. You need 20 or 30 or 40, and then they fall out the bottom. He or she who cares least in negotiations wins. And not that we don't care. I care. I pray over my people. I was at open houses praying over my buyers and sellers. I care, but you got to have enough to where you're like, okay. And then you're talking, man, I listed a home last week over in Potts Valley. I listed one yesterday in Rockland. Tomorrow I'm listing one in Granite Bay, and I'd love to list your home. They go, well, this guy's on fire. I want him. This gal's on fire. And I just signed up an agent from Remax last week. I signed up a team from Keller Williams 3 days ago. I'm moving over an independent brokerage of 18 agents next week. And they're like, well, it must be okay. If everyone's doing, nobody wants to be the first sucker to jump in the pool. Oh, everyone's in there swimming. It looks good. And then you get the Midas touch. Everything you touch turns to gold. Things are not difficult. It is not because things are difficult that you do not try. Seneca, right? It's because you do not try that things are difficult. Thousands of years, Seneca, the Greek philosopher, I believe that's who he was, a Roman, or I don't know. Anyways, but he said, it is not difficult. It's not because things are difficult that you do not try. It's because you do not try that things are difficult. And when I say try, Tony Robbins says, again, in your head, you're dead, and then massive action. Put massive action into working out and eating right. Massive action into your marriage. Read books. Kathy and I are reading this book right now. Write it down. Write it down. Ready? If you're married, we listen to it on Audible. We listen to it all the way to Carmel, all the way through Santa Cruz, all the way up in Monterey and Half Moon Bay, all the way back to Sacramento. We will listen to it for hours. It's called Red Hot Monogamy. Only listen to it if you're married, because it's red hot. But it talks about communication. It talks about business. It talks about finances. It talks about the kids. And then, of course, it's all wrapped around having fun in your situation. But it's a great book if you're married. If you're single, it'll drive you crazy because you'll want to get married or something. But anyways, but we're working on our marriage, man. We're all in. Go all in. I'm going all in on real estate. And how's your health? I let that go. I'm back in it. I'm on fire. And the definition of happiness is progress. I know you said you wanted 7 minutes. I down to 6 minutes. Go ahead. My bad.
No, I love it. It's so true. And essentially what you're talking about is creating personal momentum. And when you create personal momentum, that energy is infectious and contagious, because 99% of the people that you're going to interact with in life do not have it. They're not amped up or excited about anything. They're tired, stressed out, overworked, wondering how they're going to do another year, and don't have hope is the bottom line. And so I know that when you saw EXP, you saw it as a huge way that was hope for you and for anybody that would be an agent that joined the company. And to date, what do you guys are over 20,000 agents now in 7 years?
Yeah,
Yep.
over 40,000 in the overall organization, but in the 7 levels, yeah, we're up there. We're actually around 19,000 now. So we've had some attrition, which is a pruning. I mean, Keller Williams has had it, Real, LPT, Coldwell Banker. It's been a 3-year siege on real estate, man. It's like surrounding a city. The old ones, the Romans would build ramps, and it has been really difficult. And so there's been this pruning, but what happens after a forest fire? The forest comes back healthier. The forest fire gets rid of disease, and in the forest, it's much healthier. That's a natural way. God will do lightning strikes to start forest fires to make the forest healthier. Oh, we got to put the fire out. No, you don't. It's the way the forest regenerates. Same thing in your life. You went through a divorce. You rise like the phoenix from the ashes, and like, okay, so what? Now what? So what? Now what? Okay, yeah, that sucked. It was terrible. But what beautiful door of opportunity is God opening for me? I went bankrupt at 29, stood before a bankruptcy judge with my wife. It sucked. It was embarrassing. And then God opened the door of real estate. It was a whole new chapter in my life. And so You know, you go through divorce, you go through death, you go through financial pressures. You lost every escrow you had. Your team quits. You know, you had this team, and I had my best agent quit. You know, 20 years ago, I still she was making 180,000 a year. I was making, when she left, it was ouch. You know, so what? Now what? Respond well. Anyways, back to you, Casey.
I love that. So whether it's somebody that's a brand new agent today that's looking to grow and build an organization with EXP, or somebody who's more seasoned that's maybe gone through some growth, had the pruning and attrition, which never feels good. Sometimes it feels like limbs being ripped from your body, depending on how much you've invested your time, energy, heart, and love into that person. And it's hard not to take it personal sometimes. Although it's not personal, it's business, right? It's life, it's people doing what people are going to do. What would you say is for anybody that really wants to grow in 2025, regardless of where they're starting from today? Like they could be starting behind the eight ball, they could be starting with great momentum. What are the three key things that you would say for somebody that is committed and serious about building an organization and growing people to do in 2025?
I love that. So number one, get on your knees. From a faith-based thing, pray about it. Put it before God. Now, if that's not your jam, don't do that. Go meditate. Do what you got to do. But me, I built my entire life on my knees before God. And I'm just like, God, give me, give me, give me. It's God, your will be done. Here's what I'd like to do. Here are my plans, my dreams. But Lord, I know you have my best plan for me. And I trust you. And if you don't want Joseph Trujillo at EXP, I don't want him. If you don't want Mike Brown at EXP, Dan Gomer, I don't want him at EXP. God, shut the door for Dan Gomer at EXP. If you don't want him there, Casey, Rick. I prayed about Rick and Casey. That's just me. Now, if you're not a person of faith, then you meditate, do what you want. I'm not trying to put my trip on you. It is my trip, and I love my trip. That's number one. Number two is this: set some goals. Set some big, hairy, audacious goals that are daily, right? That are daily. Set some goals. Come up with the plan. If you fail the plan, you plan to fail by definition. Have a plan. Execute on that plan. Execution trumps strategy every day of the week. Execute. Write this down. Progress before perfection. I get it that you're not good. I was terrible at listings. I became phenomenal at them, but I had to go through the suckiness of having horrible listing presentations and not knowing what to say. I started saying stuff to agents like, no, I wouldn't be interested in that. And why'd you even call me? And don't call me again. And I had maybe 10 times that happened to me. And I didn't like it either, but I was willing to go through it. You got to get muddy before you get pretty. And so your ego is not your amigo. Well, I don't want to be that guy, that gal. Oh, you're a narcissist. You're so worried about what everyone's thinking of you. You know, if you have love in your heart and you're out there talking to a lot of people, not 2 or 10, I mean like 50, 100, 200. I talked to 200. I talked to people every day. I had goals. I was doing it. How many a day? 1, 2, 3 a day. It wasn't 10, 20, 30, 40 a day, 1, 2, 3 a day, 1, 2, 3 a day, 1, 2, 3. But it added up. But I'm listening to things. I'm reading things. I'm going to meetings. I'm going to Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, PSI. I'm going to, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone. I'm meeting incredible people. Napa with the Bethel people from Bethel Church up and Ready. People think they're crazy, but I like them. I'm a little crazy. You know what I mean? Normal's overwritten, but and then you start applying this. And if I could end with one thing, if you're serious about agent attraction, you have to find a way. This is not a suggestion. You absolutely have to find a way. Share a room with somebody. Do what you got to do to come to Cabo. There are 60 of you. Every one of you should go buy a ticket right now. We're going to sell out. We've never had a lineup like this. Gary Brecka, Pace Morby, Ed Milet, and Tom Ferry, and a million other speakers. Best lineup we've ever had. We've never sold so many tickets or rooms. I think we have a handful of oceanfront rooms left. If you don't do it today, you will end up with a garden view. And if you go all the way to Cabo and stare at the desert, fine. I'd rather stare at the ocean. Get your ticket today. Come to that event. It's the #1 premier event we do of the year. But how am I get that? No. You're going. Say, I'm going. Just get your ticket today and then reserve your room. And then work on your air flight later. If I said, I'm going to give you $1 million if you get your ticket and your room and your flight, you'd be like, done. But you don't think that God is going to touch you at that event, that you're going to meet that right guy, that right gal that couple who says something to you at the gym, at the spa, at the pool, in the event, a speaker on stage, at the gym, fishing, golfing, you're not going to meet them. I went to those things and I always met the right people just because I was willing. I put myself in the path of progress. So my message to you is, you want to grow, come to Cabo 25. Last thing, bring people, bring 5, 10, 15, help pay for a ticket or flight, bring people to get the vision. That's what I did. I brought 19 and with to my first event, 19 of people, 14 people I'd sponsored and 5 prospects. And then they went from here to here and my business exploded. I'm still riding that momentum today. What do you need to do, Dan Gomer? What do you need to do, Eric Thau, Carl, Mike Brown, Tammy Moran, Joseph Trulio? What do you need to do? You need to like set aside a day or two and go bananas and help people see you got to get there. And they'll respond to your passion, your enthusiasm, help them figure it out. I know a guy who wants to share a room. A couple guys hook up. I know a gal who wants to share a room. You got a professional woman with a professional woman. Save, it's $275 a night, fully all inclusive. Meals, everything. And this is major decisions that are happening at major events. I got to go. I'm a minute over target. I'm supposed to meet somebody. So love you guys. Casey, thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much for being here, Brent. And we are going to wrap for today. The recording will be on empirebuilderspro.live under the resources tab. Look forward to seeing you in Cabo. The link for Cabo is in the chat, cabo25.com. And we will, again, first and third Tuesdays of the month, look forward to some great calls and conversations to support you in building and growing people and incredible organizations this year within EXP. Much love to y'all. Have a great day.